Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Guy. Wow, Guy, Alethea, and the band. That's amazing. What you're seeing there is the power of zeal, the power of strength. You're seeing a number of powers there. And we're looking today at Zeal the Deal. The power of this month is zeal. And the color that goes with that power is orange. And the apostle is Simon the Zealot. Zeal is that power of enthusiasm, the power to get things started, the power to soar like Guy was singing about, to see that piece of sky and know you can fly, to know that you can take flight and your dreams can take flight, that you are not bound, that you are unfettered, that you have that in you that is the real you. The real you is the presence of God that was never born, will never die. The presence of God that can never be extinguished or put out or divided or diminished in any way. That is the real you. And that is what we are here to live. That is what we are here to be. We're no small stuff. So when you look at another person, you are the divine looking back upon itself, recognizing the excellence and magnificence in that other person. When you are looking at yourself in the mirror, you are recognizing this infinite presence that has lived from time immemorable, that is living itself and expressing as you, individualized in a beautiful and unique way. So I want to look at Zeal the Deal. You can use zeal in lots of ways. As I was talking about last week, I saw someone who was driving 80 miles an hour down Montserrat into oncoming traffic. That is an expression of zeal. But it was not coupled with wisdom, which is another of the 12 powers. Zeal and wisdom go well together so that we choose and know what is ours to do. And the choose is the power of what? Will. The power of will is the power to choose. So we use the power of will to choose what wisdom has shown us is ours to do. And then with zeal, we take a step forward. Sometimes people come to me and say, Reverend Tim, I have this dream, I have this vision of what I want to do, but I don't know all the steps. I'm going to have to give this more time, and I don't know how it's all going to fit together. And I say, well, do you know the first step? What would, if you knew the first step, what would it be? What do you imagine the first step might look like? And if they're wanting to be a doctor, as I've talked to a couple people about that, one of the conclusions we came to is go to school. You know, that's a good first step in becoming a doctor. Or if you want to be a dancer, take dance lessons. Find ways to get more involved in dance. Maybe go to school learning dance. Or if you want to, become a minister. There's lots of ways to do that, and I can tell you all about it. So you determine what is yours to do. I saw the power of zeal at work this week when I went down the Alawai. And those who are love streaming, the Alawai is this beautiful drive through Honolulu next to this river, this canal of water. And all along the way, all down the Alawai, are these cute little red and white signs. And these cute little red and white signs say tow-away zone. 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And so one morning at 8:40, I was driving down the Alawai, and the entire Alawai was lined with tow trucks and police cars. And they were loading them up. It could be a Lexus, it could be a Mercedes-Benz, it didn't matter the kind of car. They were loading up every single car that was there. And that's the power of zeal. And we use the power of zeal when we want to clean up something, when we want to start a new project. And we can use the power of zeal to reveal the Christ, the divine presence that we are. Instead of playing small, instead of just trying to get by, and instead of trying to fade into the woodwork, we can allow what we really are to show up. So let me ask you, how are you showing up? How are you showing up in life? How are you showing up in your relationships? How are you showing up to yourself? How are you showing up at Unity Church of Hawaii? Did you know that energy does not lie? As a little kid, wait, there's children here. Okay, but you're very, very smart. You're in second grade. You would never do this. Right? You promise? Yes, thank you. So as a child, I wanted to see what the whole thing with electric sockets was about. And I did multiple experiments with them. We're not going to do this, right? Okay, good. Thank you. All right. And I found out the power of electricity within my body. And I found out, wow, that's what they're talking about. That's why they said don't play with light sockets. And then I understood. The electricity did not care how I used it. The electricity didn't say, "Aw, he's so cute. I don't want to shock little Timmy." No, the electricity didn't care. It's just there to be used in whatever way I choose. The same is true with all the 12 powers. The power of zeal, it's up to us how we use it. So we can use it in some destructive way, like the energy we bring to an environment can be felt, even if people are not conscious of it. So if you bring the energy of anger, if you bring the energy of revenge, if you bring the energy of negativity, people can feel it. It ripples through the universe. They pick it up. It's energy. It doesn't lie. You're just using the energy. And so, is that how you want to show up? That was not rhetorical. Is that how you want to show up? No. All right, most of you. Good. And hopefully the rest of you are thinking about it. Is that how I want to show up? Is that how I want to use my zeal? There's been times where I've gotten all angry and fired up. And, I employed my zeal with lots of adrenaline and gusto. And certainly there are times where there is a particular injustice or abuse that is going on that, maybe we need to really use that energy, use that charge that has come up for us. But I want to ask you this. What is it that creates a charge in you? Do you know what I mean by a charge? It's like that sudden rush of energy where you want to fight or flight or freeze. That charge that pushes your button. And, some people know how to push our buttons because they installed them. Do you know what triggers you? Do you know what brings that charge up in you? How do you want to show up? So when I experience a charge, for example, this last week, and, I've improved a whole lot in my life, thankfully. But I want to get a Hawaii driver's license. My Kansas driver's license expires November 30th. And so I looked on my phone, looked it up on Google, places I can go get a driver's license. And it said, the satellite city hall at Ala Moana Mall. And so, I went to the Ala Moana Mall and stood in the long line, and meditated and prayed and smiled at people. And, quite a while later, it's finally my turn. I get up to this wonderful woman and I show her my Kansas driver's license, and I said, I'm here because I want to get a Hawaii driver's license. And she said, we don't do that here. You need to go to this other one. Now, I had a choice, okay? Here's how you use the power of zeal. And I've practiced enough with myself that I can recognize when I'm getting a charge. I could feel the energy. It's like, oh, there it is. And you know how your mind in a second can just flash back on lots of things. And so in just a second, I flash back on all those times I've, flashed out in anger and tried to show my stuff. And I also in that split second turned to the Christ within. Turn to the divine presence living itself as me. And I asked myself, in that Christ presence, what is mine to do? And the Christ presence, and this is all in a split second, told me, it's not this person's fault. It's not her fault. She didn't make this policy. She didn't set this up. And Google could have maybe done a little better job, but so what? You got to stand here and pray and meditate for a little while, and now you get to go find another satellite city hall that you've never been to before and meet people you've never met before. Isn't that wonderful? So in that split second, I used the power of will to choose, okay, I'm going to go with the Christ nature. And so I smiled at the woman and got my driver's license. And I said, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. And meant it. And I thought, wow, that's kind of different. Because I'm walking away without any anger. I'm not carrying the burden of trying to straighten this other person up. In fact, what I'm working on is the only person I can work with, and that's me. Right? This message is totally different from the 9 o'clock message. So anyway, there's some reason this is coming out. Anyway, so I go to the other satellite city hall, and whoa! It's a long line, clear out the front door, And I find out that the long line coming clear out the front door is the line, I eventually find out, just to see if you have the right documents. Not to actually get the license, but to see if you got the right documents. So I stood in that line for a while, and, someone else crowded in line, and again I had this choice. Do I get upset by that, or do I bless them? Took a little longer than a second. So there was this little, Then I chose, no, I'm going to go with the Christ on this. Why allow something to mess up my day? And as I've started to say to people, and I got this from Paul Hasselbeck, have a beautiful day in your consciousness. That is, it's up to us how we determine our life experience. It's up to us how we create our life. It's up to us. We're not victims. We are here to be the divine presence in action. So I got in line. It took quite a while. Finally got up to talk to someone. And I had a bunch of documents with me, but not the right ones. And I said, thank you so much for your time and for explaining this so I can finally understand what I need to do. And you're telling me I can make an appointment online once I have my documents, I can make an appointment. He's right. He said, that's right. So you don't have to stand in this line again. I said, thank you so much for sharing that with me. And again, I'm using the power of will to say, I'm not going to do that again if I can help it. I'm going to make an appointment, right? So we use these powers all the time, and it was the power of zeal that was pushing me forward to start this new project, to get a Hawaii driver's license, which someday I will. It'll come. And this is where the power of strength comes in. The power of strength is the power to persevere. So I'll continue to persevere, But we use these powers to help us. So I want to share this scripture with you. This comes from Jeremiah chapter 20. I love Jeremiah. He's one of my favorite prophets. Jeremiah is one of these guys that would wrestle with God, that would sometimes say things that some commentators think are close to blasphemous, because he had this close connection with God. If you're in a close relationship with somebody, it's possible, maybe probable, that at some point you might just unload your charge with them. And that is what Jeremiah did with God. And so in Jeremiah chapter 20, verse 7, and this comes from the Anchor Bible translation, Jeremiah says, you seduced me, and I was seduced. That is, you tricked me. You tricked me into becoming a minister. You tricked me into becoming a prophet. I speak your word, and people make fun of me. They ignore me. Have you ever started on a project where there were obstacles, or where someone misunderstood you, misunderstood your motives? Have you ever applied yourself to something where you found resistance? How many people here? Oh, keep your hands up, please. I want to see the ones who don't have their hands up, because you are in my prayers to have some new opportunity come your way to experience this deepening process that I'm talking about here. Because it helps us to go deeper, helps us to go to our core. That's what I like about Jeremiah. He was honest, he was authentic, he spoke his truth, and he spoke it with zeal, and sometimes it wasn't nice, but he was authentic. And he says here in verse 9, but when I tell myself, I'll never mention your name or speak for you again, it's no use. The word of God burns in my heart. It is like fire in my bones. I try to hold it all in, but I cannot. That fire that is burning within, that fire that is burning within you, that dream, that energy, that divine zeal wants to come forth as you and to express as something powerful and new and unique, because you are nothing less than the individualization of the presence of God. You are God's stuff, and there is something burning within you that seeks to express itself, that seeks to come out in some new and beautiful way as only you can do it. That is the real you. Yeah, you may measure yourself in years. I don't. But you may measure yourself in years. But the truth is, the real you was never born and will never die. The truth is, the real you is the presence of God living life as you. So, it's no small stuff when there is this dream that's wanting to express as you. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of the Unity Movement, in the book called The Revealing Word, defines zeal this way. Zeal is intensity, ardor, enthusiasm, and that word enthusiasm comes from the Greek. Two Greek words, en, theos. En means in. There's a lot of similarities because we stole a lot from the Greek language. Theos, like theology. The study of God, theology. So en theos means God in you. So enthusiasm is this presence of God living in you, as you. Intensity, ardor, enthusiasm, the inward fire, there's fire again, of the soul that urges us onward, regardless of the intellectual mind of caution and conservatism. Sometimes we're like, no, I'm not going to change. I'm just holding on. I'm not going to do something new or different. Yeah, there's these dreams inside of me. There's something inside of me that wants to express, wants to do something different. But no, I'm going to hold on. I want to be known for never accomplishing anything unique. I want to fade into mediocrity. I want people to not recognize my name. I don't want people to even notice me when I come in the church. I want to just be incognito. I want to be the Spirit of God hiding out. But that takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to try to keep God in. You know, because that's not our natural nature. That's not what we're made for. We're made for service. We're made for excellence. We're made for magnificence. We're not made to shrink into the shadows. We're made to be the presence of God in action. So, don't hold it in. That's a waste of energy. Couple your zeal with wisdom and see what is yours to do. Now, in its 94th year, not that age means anything to me, but Charles Fillmore said this: I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm and spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me. Now, he doesn't say to do the things that are fun, which that's fun too. I mean, do that. He didn't say the things that are convenient. He says the things that ought to be done by me. And what's he mean by that? He means using the power of wisdom, discernment, judgment to know. Know that you know. And standing in that knowing, you know that you are grounded in the presence and Spirit of God and nothing can move against you. In Jeremiah chapter 1, where Jeremiah is this young man and he receives this call to be a minister, to be a prophet, God says, don't be afraid. I will give you the words to say. So I say to you, don't be afraid. Whatever your dream is, however that zeal is wanting to come forth, do not be afraid, knowing that the presence of God backs you up. The presence of God is living itself as you. The universe is conspiring on your behalf. You are here to do something amazing. So we need to zeal the deal. Whatever it is in your life that you're wanting to accomplish, whatever that dream is, bring zeal to it. And let's do this together. Aloha. Okay.